Hello, everyone, and welcome. Now, if you're a parent or a caregiver here in Nigeria, I bet there's something you think about a lot. And that's trying to teach our children how to be healthy. It's a real journey, isn't it? So today, let's look at how we can make that journey just a little bit easier for all of us.
Does this sound familiar? I mean, for so many of us, this is literally the soundtrack to our evenings, right? You can just picture it. The TV is on, you're trying to get dinner ready, and you find yourself saying the same things again and again and again, hoping that maybe, just maybe, this time it will stick. It's a scene that plays out in homes all across Nigeria, from Lagos to Kano, and let's be honest, it can be really frustrating.
And you know what? That's the real problem, isn't it? We can talk and talk until we're practically blue in the face. But our children, they seem to have this special superpower for tuning out lectures. It's like the more we push, the more they push back. So, if just telling them what to do doesn't work, what's the alternative?
Well, the good news is there is a better way. And no, it's not some new, complicated parenting trick you need to learn. In fact, it's a solution that's ancient, it's powerful, and it's something that is woven right into the very fabric of our Nigerian culture.
Just think about it for a second. Remember those moonlight tales our grandparents used to tell us in the village? Or even the bedtime stories we share with our own children in the city today? Storytelling. That's always been our way. It's how we pass down wisdom from one generation to the next. It's how our children make sense of the world, and it's the perfect way to teach them habits that will stick with them for their entire lives.
And you know, this isn't just about tradition or some old-fashioned idea. There's real, solid science behind why stories are so powerful. First, they just light up a child's imagination like nothing else. But get this, research from places like Harvard shows that stories literally help build the architecture of a child's brain. And the American Academy of Pediatrics, they agree, saying stories boost language skills and, maybe most important of all, they strengthen that amazing, precious bond between you and your child.
Okay, so look at this. This shows the difference perfectly. On one side, you've got a command, something to argue with. Eat your vegetables. But on the other side, you have an adventure. A story about a girl named Ada who discovered magical rainbow fruits that made her strong. See the difference? One is just a boring rule, but the other is pure magic. So which one do you think a child is actually going to remember?
All right, so let's get really practical now. We're going to dive into some of those common health lessons we're all trying to teach, and I'll show you exactly how a simple story can make all the difference. Okay, let's start with a big one, maybe the biggest one, healthy eating. It's tough, right? In our homes today, our kids are just surrounded by sugary drinks, all those processed snacks, and fast food. Trying to get them to eat their fruits and vegetables can feel like a serious uphill battle.
But what if you told them a story about a child who discovers magical fruits? All of a sudden, food isn't a chore, it's an adventure. Red fruits aren't just boring tomatoes anymore, they're special power-ups for your heart. Yellow fruits like sweet mangoes give you supervision so you can see far away. And green foods? Oh, that's what builds your superhero strength. The lesson is exactly the same, but the way you deliver it, it changes everything.
And look, this is really important. This isn't just about getting them to finish their plate. The World Health Organization is very clear on this. They recommend at least 400 grams of fruits and veggies every single day to help prevent serious diseases later in life. So when we turn this fact into a story, we're doing more than just winning the lunchtime battle. We are setting our children up for a much healthier future.
All right, let's talk about the next big challenge, sugar. I'm sure you've noticed it too. We're seeing more and more sugar in our children's diets here in Nigeria. Those sugary drinks and snacks, they're just everywhere, and it's a real worry for their health down the road.
So how on earth do you explain the dangers of too much sugar to a child? I mean, you could give them a lecture they'll forget in 5 minutes, or you could tell them a story about the sugar monster. It's such a clever idea, right? Imagine a little monster that gets bigger and meaner every time a child drinks soda or eats too many sweets. It helps them actually see the problem in their minds in a way they'll totally understand and definitely remember.
And once again, the health experts completely agree. The American Heart Association, for example, says we absolutely must limit added sugars to protect our children's health. So a story like the sugar monster becomes this really powerful, memorable tool that helps us do exactly that.
And for our last example, let's talk about getting our kids to move. You know how it is. With phones, tablets, and TV, it's just so easy for them to spend hours and hours just sitting down. They're becoming more and more sedentary, and we all know that's not good for their growing bodies or their minds. The experts say kids need about 60 minutes of physical activity every day. Now, if you just say, go outside and play for an hour, it sounds like a chore. But What if that hour was part of a grand adventure? A story about a brave explorer who has to run through the jungle, leap over crocodile-filled rivers, and dance with the fireflies to find a hidden treasure. All of a sudden, that 60 minutes isn't a chore anymore, is it? It's a mission. It becomes joyful, imaginative play.
Okay, so we've talked about why stories work, and we've seen a few cool examples. The big question now is, how do we actually start doing this at home? How do we make this a part of our daily lives?
And you know what? It's way simpler than you might think. Seriously, you can start by just reading a storybook together that talks about being healthy. Afterwards, just talk about it. Ask them, why do you think that character chose to eat the apple? Then you can connect it to your own day. Hey, remember that story? How about we make our own rainbow fruit salad for a snack? And please, don't be afraid to make up your own simple stories. You don't need to be some famous author. You just have to be their mom or dad.
You see, when we choose to use stories, we're doing so much more than just teaching one little lesson for one day. We are actually writing a much, much bigger story.
And here's the most important thing to remember. The habits our children learn today, those become the foundation for their health, for their entire lives. These little stories we tell, they're not just about eating vegetables or going to bed on time. They're about teaching our children how to live well. A single story you tell tonight can truly help shape a healthier, happier tomorrow for them.
And with that, we've come to the end. I just want to leave you with one simple question to think about. After all this, what story will you tell your child tonight? Thank you so much for joining me.